What's up, y'all? So with the talk of the last video of, like how to get started with Ninja Gaiden and the differences between the games, I'm gonna show you my personal favorite ways to play the game currently, and they both are PC only, unfortunately. But if you're on PC, there's a lot of cool options, and they both involve mods. So we'll start with NG1, and I will show you on the Nexus here what they are. I was trying to play as Siori, but I guess it's bugged. So this is the Ninja Gaiden Sigma Black mod. Now, there are some very subtle gameplay differences between NG Black, NGB, and Sigma. Like I mentioned in the last video, things like some of the juggle properties, some of the guard crush properties with certain enemies, the way berserkers work, some things like that. But aesthetically, there's also some changes. Like the enemy models, which just to look objectively better. I really don't understand why people don't like the models in Sigma, especially for like just pretty much every enemy model was redone. But some people do prefer the old school look of like the ninjas, the bloom that's in the like starting area and in Hayabusa Village and when you return, as well as some of the menu and UI differences. And there's actually, this has changed quite a bit throughout throughout the different versions. So if we look at like the home menu, you had the NGO4, and then you had the Ninja Gaiden Black menu, and then you had the PS3 traditional Sigma menu. And then I don't know what this is from. I didn't see this option in the startup, but I definitely would have picked Ione for my home screen if I saw the option. Also, just like the way the menu looks, I do like the NGB style menu. Like the all blacked out look looks really good. And then I'm assuming this is NGO4 or possibly Sigma PS3, not really sure with the red look. So what this mod does is it basically allows you to configure this however you want. You can remove the bloom, you can keep the bloom. For instance, I like the blue version of Inazuma, not the yellow, so I chose to go with blue Inazuma. I chose to go with the NGB style UI and menu, but I chose to get rid of the bloom, but I chose to keep the Sigma style enemy models, like all the enemy models. So it really allows you to customize it to what you want. And again, there's no gameplay like differences, and if any modders like are watching this, if anybody could do two things for Sigma. For one, I don't understand how the Masters Collection has so many costumes for 2 and 3, but there's no costume changes for Sigma, and it just sucks, man. Like, let us have some good costume changes for Sigma. Also, it would be really cool, this isn't something that was ported into this mod, but in Ninja Gaiden Black, when you get to this home screen, first of all, I do love this music more than the music in Sigma is basically when you're in the military base, which is fine, but I do like this better. And in Black, it shows like this whole like this little video of Ryu kicking ass essentially. But yeah, the menus look pretty much identical to Ninja Gaiden Black in the way I have it configured, but some people might like the Sigma outfit. Also, there's a couple different costumes. There's a purple doppelganger. Instead of the, what's it called, Grip of Murder, you have this ninja outfit, which is okay. And then the battle suit, there's a red version. I'll showcase this as we look at the starting village here. Not all of the assets. He has done, it looks like, some asset imports. However, obviously, like, not all of them are possible. For instance, at the end here, where we have the extra elixir in Sigma compared to Black, there was a, like, little river or stream. And I'll just showcase this real quick. But as we can see, the bloom was removed. So it looks just, I don't know, I do prefer the non-bloom look. Like, you can see Mount Fuji in the back there, and it just looks like, I don't know how to describe it, darker, drearier, less vibrant. It gives you more of that, the vibrancy really doesn't set the tone for what Ninja Gaiden is about to put you through. And I do feel like this sets the tone better. But again, like, that's a personal preference. People act like the bloom just like ruins the game. And then this is the red version of the costume. And again, you can choose in the config file whether you want this or whether you want the traditional like black falchion. It's completely up to you, fully customizable. Other than that, it's really just like menu changes, but I do think this UI and this menu is the best looking Ninja Gaiden 1 menu and UI. I don't think anything else even really comes close to it. One other person is working on a mod right now to get weapons, so like in Ninja Gaiden Black, when you start the game, you have the Lunar and the Nunchucks, and in Sigma, you just get the Dragon Sword, and it makes Chapter 1 way harder, especially since in NGB you can throw shurikens at the crows, and you can kill them and get a blue essence, but we can see that's non-existent here, and I do like that aspect. However, like the main reason you use crow essence for UT chaining in Ninja Gaiden Black is for money. And Sigma having the extra ambush, the extra fiend challenge in Chapter 3, basically negates the need for that. You make a lot more money in Sigma, like early game at least, so it's not really a big deal. But yeah, this kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Again, like the gameplay changes are pretty subtle. I do like Sigma's, like, the pyramid. I like fighting the berserkers better than the little puzzle. I do like the moat chapter in Sigma better than Black. However, it would be cool to get some of the... just to have the option, if you could toggle it on and off, some of those combat differences and even like enemy differences like berserkers and things like that, I think that would be really cool. Because berserkers are maybe a bit more interesting to fight in Black. They're still fun to fight in Sigma, but everybody just counters them. They're a little more block happy, but that's about it. And then for Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 2 White. So this one is... there's a lot more to kind of go over. This mod gives you the best of both worlds with Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. So one thing I like about Ninja Gaiden 2 Black compared to Vanilla 2 is obviously like some of the removals of things, right? Like Chapter 9 and 10 are a lot better in my opinion. Like Chapter 9 and 10 just kind of like suck in Sigma. I like fighting the Marbus and the Dark Dragon instead of the Double Armadillo and the what is it, just like the archer version of the dragon fight. That's a lot more interesting. And 2 Black does try to like remix enemy encounters a little bit, but it only does it in like a few locations and doesn't do it nearly enough. But on the flip side, like there's a lot of just empty areas. A lot of encounters are too easy. The way they changed IS Ninja to be elite enemies. Elite enemies have more health, they don't delim as easily, so you don't get fights where you have a ton of IS Ninja, it's just a bunch of attack Ninja, which are boring. So it's like, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is boring in a lot of areas, but again, like toward the end of the game, after the cutscene with Muramasa, instead of fighting dogs, you're fighting ninja, and instead of fighting the like Van Gelfs and marionettes after Wolf, you're fighting ninja, and I just think ninja fights are where this game really shines. But you know, Ninja Gaiden 2 is a lot like harder and more fast paced and hectic, and that whole like idea of kind of chaining iframes and guillotine throwing enemies and just like cutting them up. Like when you're playing Ninja Gaiden 2, you're just like cutting dudes into pieces quickly and fast, and that's a lot of fun. But encounter variety and enemy variety kind of sucks. But in this mod, you get really the best of both worlds. IS Ninja are changed more toward their default. Also in Black and Sigma, IS Ninja only throw 1 incendiary shuriken. In Vanilla, they throw 3. In this game, they throw 3 as well. However, they don't throw as often. So you have to deal with a lot more IS than you do in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, but less IS than you have to deal with in Vanilla 2, which I think for about 99% of people, that's going to be preferable, since it's actually Ninja Gaiden 2 Black and Sigma 2 IS, like Incendiary Shuriken, are basically like not a threat. And in Vanilla 2, that's like the entire like that's what the skill is. The skill is learning to deal with that. So it goes from like overwhelming, too many, to nothing, and this is a pretty good balance. It would be good, in my opinion, if the IS were turned up a little bit, but that's really my only complaint about like the mod, or not complaint, but thing I would like to see is a little bit more Incendiary Shuriken, which is, you know, a pretty small thing to be the thing that you worry about or that you would like to see. Now, what this excels at you have lots of fights, lots of ninja fights, and better enemy encounters than any other version of NG2. For instance, there's remixed enemies, so in and better enemy varieties and encounters. So like in chapter 2, instead of there, I haven't seen a single dog in this game. In chapter 2, instead of having to fight dogs, it's, ninja and IS ninja. In chapter 3, the between the second to last and the last checkpoints in Vanilla 2, you have to fight a bunch of fucking Van Gelfs and pill bugs, and the pill bugs like mixed with the Van Gelfs is not a fun fight. You basically just like have to UT spam it. There's really like no way to do that fun in a like fun way. Here we get imps with Van Gelfs, and pretty much every fight has a good mix of enemy encounters. Even at the beginning of 4 here, we saw or not the beginning of 4, but like the middle of 4, there were fights with Fiend Ninja, which is just like a ton of fun, right? Better than the dogs that you have to fight in Vanilla 2. Also, like this fight here, we'll just watch some footage. You can see like it's similar to Vanilla 2, where you're getting super fast D-limbs and you're just able to kind of like shred through enemies. We have our Incendiary Shuriken back. We have our Windmill Shuriken back. You can charge bow UTs, and it's really cool because like the bow UTs deal way more damage than they do in Vanilla 2. So like shitty bosses like the final boss and Gigadeath, you can just fucking shred and get through them fast. And like sure, like that's easier, but that it's a good thing that those fights go by quickly. And then like here, instead of just a bunch of Vangelfs, we get Gaja. So there's, you don't see this in Vanilla 2, and it's like my biggest complaint, other than like some of the shitty archer and water sections, is Vanilla 2 has basically like no good enemy encounter variety. But here we're getting Gaja with Vangelfs, and I know that's like a small thing, but it really makes the fights a lot more fun and dynamic when you're not just fighting the same enemy over and over and over and over, when you're getting a mix of enemies. Now, it still would be nice if vanilla, or if any version of NG2 had a few more different enemy types. We do get imps in this version, and just having that one extra enemy I think does go a long way. But if there were like 2 or 3 more, like if somebody could port over fucking cat fiends or something like that, I think it would be great. And you can see here classic Ninja Gaiden 2 missing my OTs over and over. And then just to showcase like a ninja fight or a human fight, when we get in here, in 2 black, this is just empty. Like it's just empty. There's nothing here. You just come here, you save, and you walk out the door, and it's fucking boring. And then the next room has like a decent fight, but it's not super fun. And I like 2 black. I'm not trying to shit on 2 black, but this is a lot more fun in my opinion. So we have our classic like NG2 fights with mages, ninjas, IS ninjas, good enemy variety, lots of we still have to deal with Incendiary Shuriken. You can see them exploding pretty much constantly, but it's not at the same level that you see in vanilla Ninja Gaiden 2. It's like a good balance to where it's like a good threat, but it's also not like forcing you to basically, where that's the only thing you're doing in the encounter is dealing with IS. And I do like that. Like, I'm not shitting on any of these things. I'm just saying this is a good like middle ground in my opinion. With the entire way this mod is set up. There's also some cool things like a doppelganger. So, in 2 black, in the mission mode, there's a fucking doppelganger fights, but not in the story. Like, why couldn't they have thrown a doppelganger fight into the story? That would have made it so much, more fun to have just something cool and unique. So instead of fighting 6 Resetsus in chapter 14, you get to fight a doppelganger, which is just cool and unique, and one of the best parts of Ninja Gaiden 1, or those, I don't want to say the best parts, but it's a cool part of Ninja Gaiden 1, right? Like having to do those doppelganger fights. So it really gives you just like the absolute best of both worlds, and it's by far the most fun way to play NG2 in my opinion, because all of the bad parts of NG2 and all of the bad parts of Vanilla 2 are just gone. Like, there's no shitty parts. Now, there might be some like over the top encounters later on from what like I hear. I haven't played this version of the mod. This is my first time playing this version. I played it a couple times like on release, but it's been quite a while since I've played it. So I don't really like, first of all, I don't really remember everything. Second of all, I don't know like what the changes are like, especially toward the end game, like especially what the female chapters are like and stuff like that. I'm just getting to Rachel's chapter right now. But yeah, you can see it plays way more similar to NG2. And then here I show we still have our windmill shuriken. However, it just kind of like sits on your hand. You can't put it away, which is kind of goofy. And then we also have incendiary shuriken, and you can again charge a UT with them, even though, you know, incendiary shuriken UTs are not really something, at least I think, is very beneficial, like windmill shuriken UTs. And then we have the bow, and you can still do the razor's edge. It's a little tough because you have to time the bow release like between the aim and when the UT animation starts, but you can still do the fast razor's edge style, and you can do the bow UT. So again, like the way they handled the bow in 2 Black was like a lot better in a lot of ways, because you don't have to manually aim a UT while fucking rockets are shooting down on you and you can't move. Like that is just such bad design. But being able to snap to them quickly and do those quick razor's edge style attacks, but have the UT, it's literally just like the best of both worlds. So again, like it's a lot different than the Sigma Black mod, but the Sigma Black mod just brings back a lot of that like nostalgia. If you like NGB from the way like the UI, the music and things like that. And then this I think like it's just so fun to be able to play NG2 with different enemy combinations instead of just like the same enemy type over and over and over, and having the IS ninja back to the way we want them, some unique like boss encounters and things like that. So yeah, these are my 2 preferred ways to play NG1 and 2. NG3 I haven't modded at all. I don't really think it like I know I think Busa, so the let me show the creators. So the creator, like obviously Fiend Busa is like very well known. Um, I don't know who made this mod. I don't know how to look at the names of who makes the mods. It should be somewhere around here, right? Where's the uploader name? No? Is it on the bottom? Come on, bro. Put your name somewhere. Tien Muxia for the tools. But again, this was super easy. Both of these are super easy to install while I try to find this guy's name. Both of these are super easy to install. With Sigma Black, you literally just run an executable and you choose your file location, and it just lets you toggle what you want to what you don't want. It's super, super easy. And then 2 White is also super easy. You literally just copy and paste the folders and files inside of your mod or inside of your game directory. It looks like this is the name. I'm assuming this is the name, RR1QZ. If you happen to see this, bro, put like a thing in your comments, and if you happen to have like a Patreon or something like that, I'll shout it out, because I think we should support people that make mods like this. For one, they put a lot of work in, and for two, like these are like probably the best ways to play NG1 and NG2. And three, you know, if we support them, maybe it'll incentivize them to keep making more cool shit and, you know, improve on these mods more. Because like if somebody makes this mod years ago and there's no really incentive to update it because people aren't playing it, people aren't downloading it, you know, that support could help and make it better for those of us that do want to play these mods more often. But yeah, my 2 favorite ways to play. Again, 3 and 4 don't need mods. My only issues I have with 3 are the story mode, and that can't be fixed. And then with 4, there's really nothing you can do. Like, you know, I don't really think anything needs to happen with 4. I think 4 is in a good spot. Again, the changes that would like need to be made. Maybe if somebody can change like the radius prioritization of your attacks, that would be cool. But like it's not like somebody can make a new mission mode. Same with like 2 Black. Like I doubt anybody could like throw in the NG2 mission mode, which would make it literally perfect. But you know, I can boot up Xenia if I really want to play some NG2 mission mode. So yeah, hope that helps. Have fun, check out the mods, support them if you can. Peace.